If I had to pick one factor, I would say it's weight, because it's one of those things that mattress brands cannot sort of hide with marketing nonsense and branding speak. If you just ignore everything about the bed and just purchased a mattress based on how much it weighed, you're going to have better outcomes than if you just something that was weighed less or was just a thinner mattress. So mattresses, I would say queen mattresses that weigh at least 120 pounds and kings that are roughly 140 or more are going to perform much better on average than mattresses that weigh less.
This week, I interviewed the king of the mattress, Derek Hales. Since 2013, Derek has tested over 500 mattresses and founded NapLab, a platform that takes a truly data-driven approach to sleep products. His methodology goes far beyond surface impressions. Instead, every mattress is subjected to 10 standardized tests with 43 measurable data points so people can learn how cooling, motion isolation, and edge support actually impact their sleep and health. We discuss the importance of the weight of your mattress, along with what mattress is best for cooling throughout the night. Is memory foam worth the hype? Should you rotate your mattress? And much, much more. Really enjoyed my interview with Derek. I know you will too. Thanks so much for listening and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Gryn and I have Derek Hales on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
The king of the mattress?
Something like that.
You have a company, NapLab. Maybe explain to the viewer what you've been doing. What I think you started in 2013, right?
2014. So
2014, okay.
Yeah, so NapLab is a platform where we test and review mattresses. Mattresses come in, we put them through a battery of objective and data-driven testing to assess their performance in 10 critical areas. We synthesize and analyze all that data and information and then try to just create the most helpful, transparent, informative review that we can.
I love it. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get you on is I had a client this morning. I was like, I'm interviewing a gentleman who's looked at mattresses for, over 10 years, a long time. I'm like, it's so important to have a good mattress. I mean, you think about how much time you spend on it, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a third of your life. It's I would argue more impactful to health than anything else you can do aside from maybe quitting smoking. Don't even take my word for it. Actually, it was referencing a study that recently came out in December. Some sort of health university hospital in Oregon, I believe, was the one who published it, and basically said exactly that. They looked at all these different factors that impact health and longevity, diet, genetics, social isolation, exercise, and aside from smoking, which was the most important. If you could do smoking, you'll increase your longevity and health. Sleep was number 2, so it's just absolutely critical.
Yeah, and we talk about optimizing sleep all the time on this podcast, because I just think in the health and fitness space, there's so many things that come and go. And it's I always tell my clients, just focus on the basics, right? Yeah. Good sleep, managing stress, eating clean, building muscle, maintaining muscle, just the basics. If you focus on the basics, everything else should, for the most part, fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of people, especially want to try to complicate sleep. And for some, it can be more complicated. But I think for most people, just really simple habits, stick to a bedtime, get 7 to 8 hours a night, wake up at the same time, try to avoid stressors and screens late at night. If you can do that, you're going to be in a much better situation.
Yeah. And obviously you're looking at mattresses. Is there something that, you've been analyzing these for a long time. Is there one metric that stands out over all, that makes just the mattress that much better?
If I had to pick one factor, I would say it's weight, because it's one of those things that mattress brands cannot sort of hide with marketing nonsense and branding speak. If you just ignore everything about the bed and just purchased a mattress based on how much it weighed, you're going to have better outcomes than if you just something that was weighed less or was just a thinner mattress. So mattresses, I would say queen mattresses that weigh at least 120 pounds and kings that are roughly 140 or more are going to perform much better on average than mattresses that weigh less. It just comes down to the the quantity and type of materials that provide sort of the best support and the best comfort typically weigh more. And so when mattress manufacturers want to make a mattress cost less, they are doing stuff like using a less expensive coil unit, which weighs less. They'll do stuff that they'll use a higher or lower density foams. So there's just less stuff in the foam. So that foam breaks down quicker, sags more, less comfortable, less supportive. So the one factor I would say look for, make sure your mattress is reasonably heavy because it's just going to lead to much better performance.
Yeah, see, that tip right there was worth having you on, right?
Hey, we're at
You
the
know?
price of admission. We're only 4 minutes in.
What about like temperature regulation when it comes to mattresses? My wife and I like to sleep cold, but I noticed this was interesting. I was in Florida and we were staying with my parents, and we ran out of, well, I should say, I got out of the room because I was snoring. Okay, so I didn't want to keep my wife up, and I blew up an air mattress, and I noticed I was a lot cooler with the
Mm.
air mattress. And I'm thinking to myself, God, if we could find a mattress that obviously, like you said, weighs a decent amount, but is also has this like good temperature regulation, that's a sort of a win-win.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of reasons that mattresses can be warmer. I mean, it could be something as simple as like the bedding, the mattress protector, the sheets, the duvet. Like that's all going to retain or release heat and breathe better.
Mhm.
With respect to mattresses, it's unfortunately rather complex because there's a lot of sort of material science that goes into whether or not a bed sleeps cooler. One of the big things to look for is it's just simply the amount of air in the mattress. In your case, you slept on an air mattress. It's practically all air. But if
Right.
we compare like an all foam mattress, 10 inches of foam, to a hybrid mattress that maybe has 7 inches of steel coils and then 3 inches of foam, well, there's just less material that can easily absorb and retain heat in that hybrid mattress. So hybrid mattresses, on average, outperform all foam mattresses when it comes to cooling. And then we can look at other factors like the different types of covers in those and how much those sink. If you sink down more into a mattress, it's just you have more material enveloping around the body, something like a blanket. Again,
Mhm.
that's going to make it harder to breathe. It's going to make airflow more restricted, and it's going to negatively impact cooling versus maybe a mattress that keeps you more balanced in sort of how it wraps and hugs the body. That's going to perform a little bit better with respect to cooling. So there's a lot to the world of cooling. And mattress brands know that people want cooling mattresses. So it is unfortunately something that every brand,
Mhm.
practically every brand, talks about. You have brands that are, $5,000 that feel like, you're looking at the space station of cooling. And then you have mattresses that are $300 and are talking about their mattress in many of the same ways, using the same language, claiming to use the same type of materials. And it's just it's not true. There is a massive spectrum of cooling performance, and just because a brand says it is cool doesn't mean it's going to be.
And I mean, you think of like price for these mattresses, like you said, there's such a wide variety of prices. Is it typically like the more expensive mattress, the better, or is that not necessarily true?
Up to a point. So I
Yeah.
see sort of diminishing returns on performance and quality starting at around $1,500 to $2,000 for a queen size. You'll get progressively sort of more and more and more up to around $3,000 for a queen. After that, with very few exceptions, I don't think there is a good reason for most consumers to spend more than $3,000. At that point, you're paying for branding and names. There are, again, a few exceptions. If you want something that's all natural, all organic, all vegan, all right, you're going to pay more for that. If you want something that is fully adjustable on both sides or is a smart bed, has all sorts of built-in
Mhm.
features and trackers, all right, you're going to pay more for that. But if you're just getting, a regular memory foam, a foam mattress, a hybrid, an inner spring, there's just no reason to spend more than $3,000.
Yeah, good to know because I was looking on your site. I'm like, God, there's such a wide variety of, and you think of it like, I don't know. I was thinking like wine came to my head. It's like there's some good bottles of wine that you could spend $70 on. You don't have to spend $1,000 on, and you're getting just as good of a bottle of wine as you would be for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly the case in the world of mattresses as well. Sort of, in 2014 sort of kicked off this almost revolution, might be a bit of a strong word for it, but we saw a massive influx of online mattress brands starting. We went from just a handful in 2014 to hundreds within a few years
Mhm.
thereafter. And all of those online mattress brands have put tremendous pricing pressure on the industry as a whole. So these more legacy, traditional, sort of entrenched brands, the big S brands, Tempur-Pedic, have had to really compete on price in a way that they didn't have to in the last, preceding decades. So I think that's been really interesting to see. And I think it's been a good thing for the industry at large as well.
Now, like for example, memory foam, right? Like that became popular because of like the NASA marketing. But what's like your data show about like the actual like performance compared to like newer materials that have come out that nobody's probably never heard of?
Yeah, so let's say polyurethane foam science is a really broad category, and memory foam is within that. Memory foam is a really interesting material. That's right. It was originally developed by NASA for the space shuttle, and then used by Tempur-Pedic commercially in the 90s. And so, memory foam, as it originally was sort of formulated, was a viscoelastic polyurethane foam, which is just a type of polyurethane foam. Over the years, brands have basically stopped using the sort of traditional formulation that gave it its technical viscoelastic properties. And instead, they're now just creating polyurethane foams that feel very similar, the same, but avoid some of the things that memory foam did wrong. It retained heat. It was so slow to respond and recover to its original shape after being
Mm.
compressed that you could feel stuck in the mattress, makes it hard to move, makes it worse for sex. And so polyurethane foams that feel like memory foam, but without the negatives, have really advanced, especially in the last, I would say, 10 years, 5 years in particular. And so that's been really interesting. But it also makes it really difficult to know what you are getting because memory foam is not a single material. There's no legal definition. There's no even industry agreed upon definition. My sort of definition for memory foam is a polyurethane foam that has a more dramatic body contouring hug. Again, typically they're also a little bit warmer, typically a little bit slower to respond, but the mileage can vary there based on the foam. But again, because there is no legal definition or industry agreed upon definition, the quality, performance, and the feel varies widely. Again, you have $3,000 mattresses talking about the memory foam they use, and then a $300 mattress saying, "Oh, we also have memory foam." And while there may be some similarities, those foams are often very different.
And what about like you hear always it's like firmer mattresses might be better for your back. Like what does your data actually show when it comes to firmness levels and like, spinal alignment across like different body types?
Yeah, again, it really depends. I would say in general, if you have back pain issues, you've experienced a lack of support in previous mattresses, creating back pains and lower back pains, yeah, you probably need something that is, let's say, medium firm, slightly firm, or firm. So I think that is true on average, but it really depends on the person, right? If you are a 100-pound side sleeper dealing with back pain and you get a firm mattress, that could be too firm, and that's going to push the
Sure.
spine out of alignment, creating a new type of problem. So you really want to think about like what your specific body type needs. Usually lighter weighted sleepers need a little bit something softer. Doesn't necessarily mean soft, just means softer, which could be medium or medium firm if you have back pain. By the same token, let's say you're a 300-pound guy. Yeah, you probably need sort of something on the very firm end of the spectrum, or perhaps even an HD, a plus size mattress, something that's been specifically designed and tuned with materials that are appropriate to the needs of that body type. And so I think, again, as a general rule, yes, firmer mattresses do tend to be better for alleviating back pain, but it really depends, again, on sleep position, body type, and then just personal preference as well.
Hey everyone, quick interruption here. If you are looking to gain energy, lose inches around your waist, and build strength, well, look no further than my book, The Step Ladder System: 6 Steps to Lifelong Health and Vitality. What you get with the book is my full step-by-step plan and blueprint that I've worked with all my clients with, packed into one book. With part one, you're going to lay the foundation, tackle any common challenges that might come in your way. Part two is my 6 pillar blueprint, how to set yourself up with a solid plan and know exactly what to do when life throws any curveballs. And lastly, step three are learning to implementation, a plan for getting results over the next weeks and beyond. So there you have it. I'll leave a link in the show notes for my stepladder system book. Now back to the podcast. And would you say, like, for a side sleeper, because I'm a side sleeper, so I'm just curious, like, is there a certain mattress that is geared more towards side sleepers as opposed to someone that sleeps on their back or on their stomach?
I would say more broadly speaking, hybrid mattresses, those sort of mattresses that have one or more layers of foam on top of a layer of steel coils are better not only for, your particular case, side sleepers, but most sleepers in general. Hybrid mattresses have just developed in such a way that they are able to meet the needs of a vast majority of sleepers because they create such a balanced, even non-polarizing type feel. So a hybrid mattress with at least, let's say, a 4-inch comfort layer that has a medium firm feel, that is going to meet the needs of, roughly 80% of US sleepers.
Yeah, have hybrids, have that been sort of the new trend that you've seen that have been coming out from mattress companies?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, if we kind of look back on the last decade in particular, sort of 2014, 15, 16, there was sort of a huge influx of sort of online mattresses that were doing like foam mattresses, like a 10 to 12-inch foam mattress. Over time, we saw many of those companies start to develop like a hybrid mattress that was 12 to 14 inches. And if we look at the last 5 years, that's sort of where the industry is at. That is the vast majority of, I would say, high performance mattresses are in that hybrid category, something probably like 75% of sort of, major popular models on the market. And you can still find, all foam memory foam. You can still find all foam latex, but those are increasingly less common compared to hybrids.
And it's interesting because up here north of Chicago, there's a mattress store, which I don't think you see that many mattress, that anymore because you can get them delivered to your house for the most part and not have to go to a store. But I always find it's nice to try out mattresses. Um, what and what I was going to say is it's like an organic mattress. Like what do you find with these like organic mattresses? Do you think it's a lot of fluff or is there something behind it, like the ones that are non-toxic, with the materials and things like that?
So the ones that are calling themselves organic, I mean, they are organic. Either the entire mattress is certified organic, or one or more material layers within it are certified organic. There's very stringent sort of requirements around whether or not they can claim a layer or the mattress is organic. So if organic is important to you, you can generally trust, the certifications in the industry. As far as how they impact overall performance, just because it's organic doesn't necessarily make it a super high performing mattresses. Most of the materials that are used in organic mattresses are it's going to be latex. It's going to be the primary comfort layer. Latex is a more polarizing feel. It's highly responsive. It's resilient. It's more springy. It's more bouncy. It creates a more sort of generalized circular depression type of a hug around the body, as opposed to like a memory foam, which is more exacting and contouring to your precise shape. It's not good or bad, but it is a very specific feel. And over the years, I've seen just countless readers and viewers that have purchased a latex thinking it was kind of this silver bullet, like, yeah, it's all natural, it's all organic, and that's great. But then they get it, and then the feel is just not what they expected. It's not what they used to. It's not what they like. So they ended up having to return it and get something different. So I always caution anybody that's thinking about natural, organic, latex type mattresses, try something in person just to like understand what you're about to get into because it is very different than the vast majority of other mattresses on the market.
Yeah, I was just looking on your site, the is it Satav or
So,
Satav? How do you say
Saatva.
Saatva latex hybrid mattress. That looks like a popular one. And that's a latex, organic natural latex. How,
Yeah,
yeah, what are your thoughts on that one?
it's a great mattress. And one of the reasons I like that bed is it's latex hybrid. So we have latex on top of coils. And it also has a quilted cover on top where it's got a bit of wool and a cotton cover, which is great. And so having that quilted cover in addition to the hybrid design helps us sort of make it a little less polarizing, a little less extreme. Now, it still feels like latex, and that mattress in particular is a little bit more buoyant, so you more float on top of the mattress as opposed to sinking down in the mattress. That's not good or bad again, but it is a more polarizing feel. Some people really going to like that feel. Some people really not going to enjoy that. So it's just important to really think about, again, what your body needs, likes, and is used to, and whether or not you would be okay with that type of a feel.
Yeah, because I went right on your site. I mean, your site's great. Definitely check it out if you haven't. NapLab.com. It's got tons of reviews, and you put the best mattress for cooling, and you got the WinkBed. I was looking at the WinkBed, and then you got like the best hybrid, which is the Lisa Sapira. And they're price wise similar. What would you say sort of is the differentiator between those two?
The biggest differentiator between those two is simply the type of cover. WinkBed is using a European pillow top style cover, so it's like puffier, it's fluffier. There's more material in that top cover, creates a little bit more. You can sort of get into bed, and there's like this immediate pressure relief because the European pillow top just lets you immediately sink down a little bit. The biggest difference to the Lisa Sapira is Sapira uses a thin non-quilted cover, and so instead of having that the sort of pillow top materials, you're sort of sinking, you're immediately engaging with the sort of hard sort of foam layers. Again, they're one of these is not better or worse, but they are different feels. Anybody that's slept on a pillow top or anything sort of similar there knows what that's like. But there are many people that really just don't like that feel and find that doesn't, hold up well over time for them. So in those cases, something like the Superior can be great. So mattresses without the quilted cover, they're not going to have that, any sort of issues with the pillow top breaking down, over time.
So the the wink beds maybe got a little bit more like that European feel, like the little more give to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as far as cooling, are they pretty similar, you'd say? And yeah, go ahead.
They're pretty similar. If
Okay.
we look at sort of all of like maybe like the top 12 mattresses or so that I've tested, like the differences between cooling are very minor. We're looking at high performance, mostly hybrid, so good airflow that have high quality foams that don't retain heat. They breathe well. They usually also have one or more material types that aid in cooling within the cover, whether it's like a thermoreactive fiber or some sort of phase change materials, and that combination is a winning combination when it comes to cooling.
And I'm doing this all selfishly, just so everyone can understand. I'm pretty much trying to figure out what mattress to get, but either way, side sleepers, both of those pretty good for side sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Both those are medium firm. Side sleepers do great on a medium firm, as do most body types and sleeping positions.
What would you say, like, um, some of the the biggest lies that the mattress industry like has convinced consumers to believe, and what does your testing reveal instead of that?
I think the biggest lie is that you need to spend more money to get a better mattress, and it's the best lies have some grain of truth in it, right? And the grain of truth is yes, you do need to spend more money up to a point to get a good mattress, and that point I think is around $1,500 to $2,000. And if you spend up to 3K, that's probably all right as well. But these mattress brands that are trying to convince people to spend, four, five, six, $10,000 on a mattress, it's just utterly and completely absurd. The performance, the quality difference between a bed that is 10K versus a bed that is 2K is often nothing. And so I think that the biggest lie is simply that if you don't spend $5,000 to $10,000, you're not going to get a mattress. That's not true. If you're spending around 2K, you're probably going to end up with a good quality mattress that's going to last around the same amount of time as a much more expensive mattress.
Yeah. I think I'm a big golfer, so I feel like with like golf clubs, it's the same thing. Like you don't have to spend. I mean, there's some like Japanese brands that you literally could spend up to $8,000 to $10,000 for a set of clubs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, there's some, yeah, there's some, and then, but I'm saying, you can go out and spend 1,500, 2,000 on a set of clubs, and it just be just as good. I mean, you couldn't even, it'd be very subtle differences, maybe in the quality, but like, yeah, so similar sort of thing. You go past the threshold, you don't need to spend more than that.
Yeah, I'm still rocking a set of just $500 irons from Nike from like 14 years ago,
Yeah,
back
yeah.
when they were still making clubs, and they're great for someone that's shooting in sort of mid 80s, low
Hey,
90s.
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
There's more than good enough for my game.
Now I have to ask you, what mattress do you sleep on, or are you not allowed to say?
Oh no, I could say I sleep on a bed called a Lumen Leaf. It's a memory foam mattress. It's a mattress that's not perfect and it's not for everyone. So memory
Yeah.
foam, as we discussed earlier, is a more polarizing feel. It's got more contour and more hug. and more pressure relief, which my wife and I love. Like that's why we like memory foam. But memory foam also is not the coolest of materials, even when it's high quality. Like this one, it's also worse for sex. It's also worse for edge sports. So you give up some stuff to get the memory foam feel. But if you're like my wife and I, you just love the feel, the hug of memory foam. It's a great choice.
Now, I'm guessing, so with your website, brands obviously don't pay for rankings. It's all independent. Like, do they try to do certain tactics to influence your testing, or are you getting mattresses just dropped off on your front step?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a lot of brands that definitely want us to review their products and want us to think highly of them. So there are always brands reaching out to us asking if we'll test and review their mattresses, and if they're popular models that our readers and viewers are interested in, then we'll test them. But I'm sorry, the dog.
No, that's okay. No big deal.
Um, so
So yeah, you get,
but to,
yeah.
to answer your first question, yes, we do not do any sort of paid content, sponsored content, advertorial, pay for placement, pay for ranking, any of that sort of stuff. I find that sort of monetization model especially distasteful and unethical and dishonest. So we stay as far away from that as possible. So everything that we test and review goes through our same battery of tests, and sort of whatever the score is whatever the score is. And sometimes the brands we review like it when their mattresses perform well, and sometimes they're pretty unhappy with us. And so definitely it's the mattress industry, I think, like many sort of online product review spaces, can be pretty cutthroat, pretty nasty, pretty mean. And we
Mhm.
see all of that in this space. We see all different types of sort of manipulation methods that brands and PR people from mattress companies will try to sort of pressure us with to get what they want. But we sort of the development of our testing process and our scoring process was really aimed at sort of resisting that, because whenever we do the test, we have our tests, we have our process, we have our scores, and it's done exactly the same way. There's very little subjectivity in the reviews, and that's how we want it, because I want to be able to speak about these mattresses based on the data and not just based on sort of my opinions and what I sort of feel.
Yeah, well, that's good to know nowadays, because who knows with the media what you're getting, right? We're seeing that come to light in a lot of different states here. But you measure motion isolation, and I'm interested with that. Where you like drop a bowling ball on it, and how much does like partner movement actually fragment sleep, and what should like couples look for in your data?
I think when it comes to motion transfer, lower is better. So we test motion transfer by dropping a medicine ball on one side of the mattress, and then we have an accelerometer on the other side of the mattress. And we basically use that to determine exactly how much energy is transferring across that mattress. So as far as sort of how big of an impact that it makes on partners, it really depends. If you're a super light sleeper, it could be, huge. You could be waking up, dozens of times a night, or otherwise sort of being sort of slightly woken at night. If you're a deep sleeper, maybe it's not that big of a deal. So I think you really need to think about, how light or heavy of a sleeper you are to determine how impactful motion transfer will be for you. But in general, I do think finding a bed that has lower motion transfer, whether you're a light or heavy sleeper, is going to be good for everybody.
Yeah. And have you ever like is there any data that like completely like contradicts what like a popular brand's marketing claims are? Like, are there any examples that sort of shocked you?
I mean, not really. At this point, nothing really shocks me. But I mean, we see this almost every single week, where a mattress that we're testing, something will come in, the brand will make some claim with respect to cooling or motion, or even something as simple as just the height of a layer or the height of the total mattress, to say, yep, this is a 15-inch mattress. And then it's like, well, I guess this yardstick is lying because it says 14 inches.
Right.
So we see that sort of stuff constantly. And so it really, the sort of the puffery around cooling, that doesn't surprise me. That's just so common. But I am sort of routinely shocked at how kind of brazen many mattress brands get with just simple facts like what's in this mattress, or how
Mm.
tall this mattress is, or how tall this layer is. Or they'll say, hey, there's 3 layers of polyurethane foam, and I cut it open. It's like, well, that sure looks like two to me.
Wow,
That sort of
unbelievable.
stuff just is just shocking, because it's just, even sort of a regular consumer could figure that out in about 2 seconds.
Although, I mean, really, when you get a mattress, it's not like you're cutting it open, though, right? I mean,
True.
yeah. So I can see how they can sort of hide some of the data, or at least lie about it. I mean, that's obviously deceitful. And do you obviously when you're testing and you see that, do you sort of take that into account? I mean, or like give them a lower grade because of that if there's deceitful marketing?
We'll talk about it, but we don't grade on it. It's not something that's in our scores. If for among other reasons, it's very hard to like determine what that grade would be, and then sort of where sort of there's like a spectrum of sort of lies and deceit on one end versus just like omissions or a mattress like a mistake was made or they've updated the design, and so it's not always clear to me which of those it is. So we talk about exactly what we see, what we measure, what we experience, and then what that ends up being in terms of performance scores. But we try not to get into areas that are again more highly subjective or that we just aren't absolutely sure of like why something is the way it is.
And what about like replacement for mattresses? Like what life, obviously you're testing these mattresses initially. You're not necessarily seeing the life of the mattress, but how long should someone keep a mattress for? Is there like an average?
If you are sleeping well on a mattress, getting great rest, there's no need to switch, whether that mattress is 10 years or 15 years old. In general, most mattresses are going to, most, I say good quality mattresses are going to last around 10 years. If you are substantially beyond that, you maybe start thinking it might be time. But by the same token, if you're on year 5 and you're waking up in pain, waking up sore, waking up not feeling rested, it's probably time.
Hmm.
Just because we want a mattress to last 10 years doesn't mean it's always going to. And certain, like your body type, environmental factors, the frame and foundation that you're using in combination with the mattress itself, all of those factors come into how long a mattress is going to last.
Yeah. And you mentioned the beginning about like sleep habits. I mean, obviously having a mattress is one thing, but like having healthy like sleep habits are just as important, I would say, if the same. What like sleep habits, you mentioned a few that you sort of try to live by or that you talk about in your on your website.
Yeah, so I try and just keep it real simple. I mean, for me, just I go to bed at the same time. I wake up at the same time, whether it's a weekday or weekend. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Beyond that, making sure I'm always getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It's just countless studies that show that that's sort of the sweet spot for adults. And then otherwise, just sort of avoiding things that are going to keep me awake at night. I'm not drinking caffeine super late at night. I'm not doing super, let's say, I don't know, exciting activities that are going to get my heart rate going. Most of them talking about video games. I can't play my super competitive video games, after 10 o'clock at night. Otherwise, I'm going to be up till midnight. So I
Yeah.
try to limit stuff like that. And otherwise, just sort of, bring the energy down as I get closer and closer to bedtime. That combination, again, I try and keep it real simple, but that's really worked well for me.
I was just looking at your site. You review a company called Purple. I have their. Do you do pillows or you just do mattresses?
In my career, I've tried a bunch of pillows. I've tested a bunch, but we're not doing formal testing on pillows right now. I still will get pillows and try them out, and if somebody asks me about them, I'll talk about them. But we're not doing formal pillows. But over the last 11 years, I've tested something like 100 different pillows.
Yeah, because I have the purple pillow, which I don't mind. It weighs like 10 pounds, so you
Yeah.
you can't like tough to travel with. But how's the mattress compare?
Purple mattresses, much like latex, or they're very polarizing. And for the same reason, it's such a unique feel that purple grid, which is a hyperelastic gel polymer, is super resilient and springy, and creates that same sort of latex, like sort of more generalized body compression, where it's not exacting a hug around you. Again, it's not good or bad, but it is a more specific feel. Purple mattresses also tend to have more of a floating feel where the body lies more on the mattress as opposed to sinking down in the mattress. Again, not good or bad, but it is a very specific feel. And I think it's a feel that is not ideal for a majority of sleepers. But again, it really depends on your body. I think it's one of those things that, like all mattress types, is worth trying if you're in a store to see how it works, and see if it's a good fit. One thing that's really sort of shocked me in the world of Purple, they do have lower spec models. They also have sort of fallen kind of towards this like legacy sort of traditional brands, where we have models that are now between $6,000 and $8,000. That just seems silly to me,
Mm,
just to spend that much on a mattress. So I've been disappointed to see some of those trends with Purple.
yeah. I noticed they do score well on the cooling side of things.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
grid does great because it's mostly air. It's
Right.
literally a grid that they pour this thing out into a mold, and so you have enough to sort of like support and comfort the body, but it used to have all these air pockets, and whenever you introduce more air into a mattress, in general, you're going to end up with better cooling.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I learned that all just from an air mattress. So if you really want something really cooling, do you do do you review air mattresses, or
Air
have you done
mattresses
that?
is an area we haven't done much
Oh,
testing on. I've
okay.
done some personal trials over the years, but nothing crazy. But it is an area I want to test and plan to. And so sort of as we have time, we're gonna hit that one hard. So we'll order every air mattress on the market probably, and do our best to test everything.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I like to ask this question for most guests is like, what's one thing you've changed your mind on in the past? I mean, you've been testing for over 10 years.
One thing I've changed my mind on, I think it's got to be changing my sort of preferred mattress type. I'm like, so if I go back, 2014, 2015, I was really sort of enamored with sort of the idea of a sort of a universal foam comfort mattress where a 10 to 12-inch mattress is going to meet the needs of practically everybody. And I really believe that. And I had good sort of reason too. Something my wife and I had experienced we loved it. I had so many readers that experienced similarly, and then they loved the experiences as well. But over time, I think taken like a more nuanced sort of approach to sort of what is best for individual sleepers, where I don't really believe in a sort of single best mattress for everybody. I think there are different types of sleepers that work well with certain types of mattresses. And my view is trying to just sort of match sort of a certain sleeper profile and set of preferences with a certain set of mattresses that are best going to meet their needs. And so I think there are a lot of good mattresses on the market today for very reasonable and affordable prices that can meet the needs of sleepers, but there's not sort of one single perfect mattress, if you will.
Hmm, that makes sense. And the only other question I was going to ask you was, what's like one piece? I think you answered it early on, but like one piece of sleep surface advice that would make the biggest difference for someone's recovery and like their metabolic health over the next decade, what would it be? And I think you can answer that, but I think you might have answered it early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, beyond, just getting a great mattress that matches your needs and preferences, one of the biggest things I think about is high performance sheets. And the
Mm,
reasons why I think sheets are so impactful is because cooling is so impactful on the mattress. Um, there's just countless studies that show when we sleep cooler, we sleep deeper, we sleep better, we get better rest. And so, to that end, getting a high performance set of cooling sheets, even on a lower performance mattress, is going
mm.
to create better cooling, better breathability. It's going to allow you to sleep deeper and just get better rest. And so, I'm a big fan of a brand called Sheiks. I also like Bed Gear. They make basically high performance polyester sheets. And it's basically like Nike dry fit type material. It's super elasticy and stretchy. It looks great when they're on the bed, but they do an incredible job when it comes to cooling and wicking moisture away. And so those are really, really impressive. And I think for anybody struggling with cooling, the benefits of a set of sheets like that can be tremendous.
So that you said bed gear. What was the first one you said?
Sheiks, Sheex.
Okay. I'll look into those.
Those are sort of the two big. I don't even think there's many other companies that are doing what they do. They are a really sort of unique product. And
The
again,
Sheiks
just
one is?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
No, this was great.
Yeah.
I love getting to nerd out about my mattress stuff.
Well, hey, like we talked about in the beginning, it's important, and I thought it'd be great to have you on to just talk mattresses, and I think it's something that gets overlooked. And yeah, so if you're looking for ways to analyze a mattress, NapLab, best place is naplab.com, right? Anyone come close to your competitors? Anyone else do a lot of? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of review companies out there now. Do you put stuff on Instagram or anything, or is it mainly just your website?
No, we are everywhere. If it's social media, we're on it. So we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on Pinterest, we're on YouTube, TikTok, everything. So,
That's awesome.
if you're looking for mattress review content, we'll be on that platform. But the our website is sort of our primary base. So it's NapLab, NAPLAB.com. There you'll have our reviews, our tests, our comparisons, a whole lot more. We also have our mattress finder quiz there. So answer a few questions about your needs,
Mm,
preferences, and budget. That goes straight to me or a member of my team, and we'll send you back a personalized recommendation within 24 hours.
that's great. Love it. Love the website. Lots of testing. Um, well, I appreciate this, Derek. Yeah, thanks for coming on so much. And naplab.com is the place to check you guys out. Take the quiz, and yeah, have a great rest of the day.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the show. I know there's thousands of podcasts out there, and you chose to listen to mine. I will put a link in the show notes if you want to connect with my guest. And if you are looking for one-on-one consulting with me, I will put a free 15-minute link so you can set up a call to see if you're fit for my 6-month health breakthrough program. So thanks again. Feel free to rate and subscribe. I would love that to help support the podcast. And till next time, have a great rest of the day, and I will see you on my next podcast. Thanks so much.